Hello, my name is Kieran Hayes and welcome to my review on the Llano USB C Rechargeable ENEL15C batteries for your Nikon cameras and the Llano CS2 and CS3 dual battery chargers for your Nikon batteries. So these kits are for the Nikon ENEL15 batteries, and boy is the timing of their arrival perfect, as I recently reviewed the Nikon ZF and I also recently bought the Nikon Z6 III myself. And both these cameras have no charger coming with them. So having a separate charger now that will not only charge one, but two batteries is awesome. And the CS3 charger can even charge batteries when you're out and about, as it has its own built-in battery. How absolutely awesome is that? And of course, I'll also be looking at the Llano batteries themselves, as they have a USB C charging port in them, and they are a slightly higher capacity than the original Nikon batteries. So come on, let's get into it and I'll talk you through my experiences with all of them. Okay, so first things first, Llano did send out these units to me for this review, but I was not paid by them to do this review, nor have they had any input into this review, or they also haven't seen it before the review went live. So battery chargers are not exactly the most glamorous of photography subjects, but boy are they necessary. And let me tell you why I agreed to review these units. And yes, I get contacted by loads of companies, but I only review products I like or I would actually personally buy myself. So I literally jumped at the chance when Llano approached me about doing this review. So let's start this review with the basic charger, if you could even call it that, which is the Llano CS2 Charger. And this is the one I wanted to buy for myself personally. Now, the reason for this is you can just pop in two batteries into this unit and it will charge both of them around as quickly as the traditional Nikon charger charges one single battery. So you can basically charge twice as fast. But wait, it also comes with two Llano ENEL15C batteries, and I have a separate section in this review on these awesome little batteries. Okay, so enough about that for now. Let's have a look at what comes with the CS2 charger. So this is basically what was inside in the kit I got. There's two ENEL15C batteries, as I mentioned already. There is the charger itself, there is the USB C cable, and by the way, if you're buying one of these, you need to have a USB PD wall power outlet or a charger or whatever. There is no charger supplied with these. Then we have a lanyard. Not so sure why you'd want a lanyard on that, but you can attach a lanyard here anyway, and it comes in the box. And then we have a nice carrying case, so you can literally pop that in there and close it up along, and that's it, you're good to go. Now I believe you can also buy the CS2 without the batteries, and it's a bit cheaper then obviously if you don't want these. You still get the carrying case, the lanyard, the USB cable, and there's obviously an instruction booklet in the box too as well itself. And the two batteries just simply slot in the top there, and there's also a slot over on the side here too as well for an SD card, so you can pop an SD card in there too as well. And you've also got a nice screen in the front where you can see your charging percentage. So the build quality is very good in these units and they feel fairly solid. Doing the old knuckle test and see how much it hurts my knuckle, and my knuckle is feeling really sore now. But that is a really solid little unit, and it feels as though it will put up with a bit of abuse over the years. The design features is what got me though, and why I wanted to review these products, as they seem to be very well thought out and they have some very nice little features. Like there's a battery percentage gauge, the magnetic lid then, there's a lovely magnetic lid, you can hear clicking close there now. And the USB port on the side there too as well means you can charge this via a battery bank or when you're out and about in a car or in a hotel or something. So that's really, really nice. Now, the one thing I forgot to say here is the unit has a nice rubbery texture on the outside, which really helps you to grip it. And it also gives it a bit more of an expensive feel to it. And yes, I know that sounds stupid, an expensive feel. but it just doesn't feel like a cheap plasticky thing. It feels like, it actually, funnily enough, feels like a camera in your hand. So that's really nice. How will that wear over time is the only tiny concern I have. But again, that's why you have that carrying case too as well. There is the SD card slot in there too as well. That's just for storing your spare SD card. But wouldn't it be cool if that could also work as a card reader? So you could use it as a charger and a card reader at the same time. That would be absolutely brilliant. And maybe that's an option for the next version of this unit. What do you think, Llano? Is that something you could come up with? Speaking of the next version, I would like to see the size being reduced a tiny bit. Now, it's not very small, and if you travel around, space saving is important. In saying that though, it's also not a big unit. So maybe disregard that thought, as I have a few smaller USB-C chargers here and I'm constantly losing them. So it probably is a nice size, actually, really, in reality. It's not something you're going to lose. And as I say, it's an ideal carrying case. You just pop the 2 batteries in and your spare SD card, and it'll store them for you in your camera bag. The battery percentage indicator is very good, and I love that feature, but it's not absolutely perfect. I've found it varies slightly, about plus or minus 5%, when you load the same battery in and out a few times. Now, knowing how these units work, it's always going to be very tricky to give you an exact percentage while the battery isn't under load. But after using this now for a few weeks, I know how it works, and when you pop in a battery, it gives you that estimated charge percentage. But as you start charging it, and within a couple of minutes then of it being charged, the charge percentage generally goes about right, and I find it a lot more accurate. So it reads better after a while when you've been charging the battery. Now, having a percentage gauge here is great. When you think the Nikon charger just had that little orange light on the front, you know what I'm talking about, and you had to wait for that to stop flashing for the light to stay on permanently, so you knew your battery was charged. And if you weren't too sure if your battery was half charged or 3/4 charged, and you popped into the charger, you didn't know how long you had to wait. Was it going to take 20 minutes, 15 minutes? Whereas with this, you can actually see, and it's going to show you, well, not how much longer is left, but what percentage charge still needs to go into it, or what percentage your battery is charged to. For me, as someone who shoots for 6 to 8 hours a day on commercial shoots, that's really handy, knowing how my batteries are doing charge-wise and when they're nearly finished. So I've no complaints at all about this unit or the batteries, which I'll get into in a lot more detail in a few minutes. But the one bit of good news I have though is that Llano have given me a few discount codes for certain Amazon stores, so you can save approximately 20% off the normal price with that discount. And no, I do not get any commission or get paid for any of these sales with the discount codes, or if you use their affiliate links. I'm getting nothing out of it, just so we're clear on that. So what do you think? Would you buy the Llano CS2, or would you buy the Llano CS3, which I'm going to get into a second, or would you just buy the Llano CS2 Charger on its own without batteries? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. But next, we're going to look at the Llano CS3, and that's a cool charger. That is a really cool charger. So this slightly bigger unit is the Llano CS3 Charger, and this is an incredibly interesting charger, and it's very similar to the CS2, only slightly larger, as you can see. And the reason for that is it has a built-in battery, so you can charge your batteries while you're off grid, and you don't need a power source. So the only thing I should say straight away here though is that it doesn't have the percentage charge feature which the CS2 has. The 8% here is showing the internal battery is charged at 8%. For the battery you are charging then, you have these 25% segments, so you can see how each battery is doing with this rough charge percentage, which varies from 25%, 50%, 75% and 100% charged. This is a super handy charger though, and it easily charges 2 Nikon ENEL15 batteries and still has internal power left over for your phone or for topping up your tablet. Yes, you heard that right. You can also charge external devices via the USB-C ports. That is a super awesome feature. And don't forget, you can also charge 2 batteries in this in roughly around the same length of time it takes to charge one ENEL15C battery in your original Nikon charger. So that is super cool. So this is what you get inside in the box now, the CS3 Charger, which, by the way, I don't think I mentioned already, there's a lovely rubbery feel on this, exactly the same as the CS2, which gives you a bit of a luxurious feel. It also gives a great grip so it won't slip out of your hand. And speaking of that nice rubbery exterior, you have a carrying case then to help protect that when it's out and about. So that simply just slides into that and you can close it up and away you go. And you also have your USB cable into as well again. So the one thing with this is you will need a USB PD power source to actually charge this unit or charge the batteries. And there isn't one supplied in the box, as per usual. Charge times are again practically the same as the original Nikon charger, but with this unit you can charge 2 batteries at the same time, and when you are busy, that's super handy as you don't have to keep checking is one battery finished so you can pop in another one. I constantly forget to do that. You also have charge indicators go up in 25% segments so you can see at any time if you pop in a battery its state of charge or its rough state of charge. So if I pop that in there now, it's showing me there now, there's 4 bars in that, so that is completely charged. You can also start and stop charging just by pressing this button here if you want to. You can just press the button to pause charging and press it again to restart the charging. Again, the unit has the same rubbery texture as I just mentioned and build quality of the CS2 charger, and it feels like this unit will give a good few years of faithful service. But yeah, overall, absolutely love this charger. The fact that you can fully charge this before you go out, and then it's going to be able to charge 2 ENEL15C batteries for you and still have power left over that you can join up your phone or your tablet or charge another battery inside the unit. That is absolutely brilliant, especially if you know you're going to be off-grid, or if you're going to be like me, out on the beach doing a fashion shoot for 6 to 8 hours. I could wear 2 batteries really quickly. So having this in my camera bag is very, very handy. I can just simply pop it open, fire in my batteries, let it charge, forget about it. And when my batteries go dead, take the battery out, pop it into my camera. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I love having that. Looking at the USB C rechargeable batteries now, and no, this is not something groundbreaking as a few companies do this, but let me show you why this is so handy and honestly why every battery should have this facility going forward. You can just see it there if it'll actually focus. There's the USB-C slot. You see, when you think about it, every place you go, they will have a USB-C charging cable lying around. USB-C is the most common charging fitting now, and I'm sure we all have loads of them in our houses, so you can literally charge these batteries anywhere while still using your camera. And that's the important part. You can charge a battery while still using the camera. That's a brilliant little backup to have while away on holiday or when traveling super light. Looking at their capacity now, and yes, they are a slightly higher capacity than the original Nikon ENEL15C batteries, but that does not translate into real world use. I have not noticed them lasting longer, but they do last roughly around the same time as the originals. So there's nothing wrong with that. The original Nikon ENEL15C batteries are rated at being 16 watt-hour batteries, and the Llano batteries are 16.6 watt-hour batteries. Now, the one thing I will say here is they seem to be very well made. Again, doing the knuckle test, that sounds really solid. It genuinely does. The Nikon one actually sounds a small bit more hollow than the Llano one. But you see, I also know a few fellow photographers that have been using Llano batteries for well over 6 months and 9 months now, and they have no complaints at all with them. So I'm fairly positive about the long-term reliability of these batteries. Now, a word of warning about any batteries. Let's face it, anything can go wrong. And yes, even the original Nikon batteries can fail also. So I always recommend not storing batteries in your camera when you're not going to use it for a while. I always store them in my battery drawer when I know I'm not going to be using them. It's always better safe than sorry is my motto here. But what do you think? Do you think we'll see USB C charging ports in our Nikon batteries this year or next year? Or are you perfectly happy buying the Llano ENEL15C batteries? And of course, as always, if you have any questions about any of this, please do feel free to ask them. I'm only too happy to help. And thanks again for watching, ladies and gents, and see you out there, or see you in the next video, everyone.